First, though, Meghan Markle is in the headlines today as it's been revealed that when she started dating Prince Harry, palace officials reportedly made changes to scripts of the TV drama Suits that she was starring in. The palace was reportedly responsible, I'm saying reportedly, obviously, reportedly responsible for changing dialogue and character choices, something the show's creator said was a little irritating. So, in-laws, meddling with your life. Why are you looking at me with the side eye? You know, I'm looking at you. Coleen, how would you react to meddling in-laws, if that did in fact happen in that situation, but in your own life?
Well, I think the in-law situation, and certainly the mother-in-law situation, can be really difficult when it's a mother-in-law, like daughter, mother-in-law. I know that the first year, when I met Shane, I was like 21, and his mum, who, can I just start out by saying I absolutely adore. But the first year was hard because, you know, I'd taken her baby boy. Yeah. And so she would definitely say things where I think, oh, I'm in trouble here, you know, when he said to her, oh, we're moving in together, and she was like, oh, brilliant, I'm so happy for you and all that. And he walked out the room and she went, he'll be home in 6 weeks. And I went, I probably will with my cooking. And for the first year, it was a bit of headbutting, but I never let it get to me because I kind of, as young as I was, I kind of understood it and I didn't want to make an enemy of her. No.
But did you let it get between you and Shane at all at any moment?
No, sometimes I would say to Shane, look, you need to speak to your mum because you might row, but you're not going to fall out. It's not going to make it difficult. Whereas if me and her row, it could cause a real rift. Yeah. Having said that, I'm now a mother-in-law myself, and I know if Maddie was sitting here, she'd talk for an hour. Probably of how annoying I am. I really try not to be, but...
What would she tell us?
I just think it's things like when Shane does things wrong, she come round and she goes, it's your fault. You've let him away with that. And I want to go, well, if he was here, I'd have done it for him. You know, all that. But we're really open with it. Do you know what I mean? But it is. I think it's quite a hard thing to do, and I think you have to tread carefully because you don't want that feud. I am so glad that after all these years, even though me and Shane aren't together, Lil could come and stay with me next weekend and we get on like a house on fire. Nice. We just do, you know.
That's really nice.
So is it all bliss in the Atwood-Dack household?
I mean, we're very early into marriage, but I don't want to jinx things, but I am very lucky. I did really hit the jackpot with my in-laws, especially with my mother-in-law, Debbie. She's super relaxed, and if there's any feelings she has negatively towards me, she hasn't expressed them. And she doesn't try to interfere. And it's a lot. Like, my lot's a lot. My family, for one, are all bonkers. And, you know, I'm on the telly and we film everything for reality. And it's, you know, it's a lot for, you know, I think for any family to take in, especially a mother-in-law, Brad's her only son. But she's been incredible. But I think if I had been met with the opposite, I would be of the feeling that, respectfully, you have to stand your own ground, I think. It depends what the sort of control is trying to take, because I think when you go down that road, you kind of make a rod for your own back. And ultimately, I think when you do get married, you kind of are leaving one family and you're starting your own family, and that family unit has to run the way you want it to run, with obviously respect for your family and your in-laws and making everyone feel part of it. But I think once you start, if you give an inch, you might be a take a mile situation. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it can be difficult. No, completely. I can't see you taking any nonsense,
Well,
Jane.
I've only had
You'd be like, just shush.
I've only had one mother-in-law and she was a delight, so it's difficult, yeah, really. But my eldest daughter got engaged at the weekend. Just want to say congratulations to Ellie and Joshua, and that means, of course, that I will.
You are not a mother-in-law.
Yes. Be becoming a mother-in-law, but obviously I'm going to be an absolute pushover.
I think it's mother and sons.
You think that's more intense, maybe, than...
It's more intense. I think a mother has a real difficulty of letting her baby boy go, because let's be honest, a boy relies on you you know, Shane eventually moved out at like 32 when he got married.
Yeah.
And up until then, I was still doing stuff for him.
But you were their first love.
Yeah.
And then it's the mum that's sort of handing that love over, isn't it? It's
to
hard.
another woman who's then going to nurture him, but maybe not the way you want her to.
And there lies the problem.
I love Maddie. We do get on great.
I know you do. Talking about royals, as we approach a year since the passing of Her Majesty the Queen, is it time for a royal reconciliation with Prince Harry? Do you think the door will ever be fully opened and welcoming to Harry again? Maybe it is, and we're not fully aware of you know, how he has responded to that offer.
Why are you picking on me today?
I don't know, it's just because you're beside me.
I
like it.
Well, I
care what you say.
Normally. Listen, I think it's really... I think it's a really difficult situation. You know, it's been well documented. I fell out with my sisters, you know, for a good 3 or 4 years, and it was losing our sister Bernie that kind of brought us back together, because all of a sudden it's a real wake-up call of they are my family and we do love each other. We might have fallen out over something stupid, but we got to a point then after 4 years of, listen, let's never talk about that again, because we're never going to agree on what we fell out over, and move on from it. And it was the best thing I ever did, and we're closer than ever. But you know, I think family's family. At the end of the day, if anything did happen with Harry and Meghan and, you know, it didn't work out or whatever, I think they would eventually welcome him back.
Welcome back. With your royal insider hat on, Jane, what do you think?
Well, I don't really have that anymore. But I don't know. I mean, yes, I think on the surface they absolutely would, because, you know, William and Harry went through one of the worst things together that you can go through, the loss of your mother. But I do think a lot of trust has been broken. And, you know, bearing in mind that this is a family whose mantra for centuries has been never complain, never explain. And Harry's been complaining and explaining left, right and centre, and actually giving away some very intimate, I think, details of things that happened between him and his brother, you know, like William hitting him and so on, that would never have got out otherwise. And so I think maybe if they did welcome him back into the fold at some point, it would always be with that little thing at the back of the head of, I'm not going to say that in front of him, just in case it ends up in the next book.
But we still love you, but I'm just not going to tell you.
But it just wouldn't be the same, I don't think.
Probably. Speaking of